Greetings and welcome to the BlastCast. I am Jarus, and with me as always is the guy who's concerned about prices, Lightning Dragon. Well, this week there isn't much Star Citizen news. It's the post-CitizenCon wrap-down, and there's going to be like no calling all devs today and things like that. It's just quiet. As I stated last week, basically their Thursday show was the setting up of CitizenCon and doing the CitizenCon and all that stuff. It's pretty traditional year to year.
Nothing but CitizenCon, all the time, all the con.
What we wanted to talk about a little bit today was during the demonstration, they showed ship prices, ship rentals and things like that. They walked by like the Hammerhead. I think it was like 21 million credits and whatnot. There's been some concern about the cost of ships, and Tony Zurevec did a panel where he explained that the prices of ships are dictated by all the materials that go into them, and those prices of ships will fluctuate depending upon the raw materials that go into each component, the hull itself, like the shield generators. If all those components, if the price raises or lowers of all those materials, then the ship prices will adjust accordingly in the market. Of course, it's not an immediate thing. There's a delay. There's a real world kind of lag that happens. But it was the overall, like, for example, the mission they did was like 4,000 credits, but along the lines, you see like a $21 million ship, you're like, how am I going to afford that at 4,000 credit missions that take about an hour to finish? The economy's in flux. It's going to change, and it wouldn't surprise me to see, one or two zeros added to those kind of missions over the course of time. I think where they have the ship prices, they kind of want them somewhat high, but as far as what the mission rewards are, I think that's where you're going to see a lot of change come in.
Without going into a whole bunch of detail about one of my own side projects, not super amazing with economy. It's one of those things you can't just throw out numbers and make it work. There's a very delicate balancing act. Given that the prices were so insane and the ability to make money has always been hard, and they've actually made it harder as time goes on in the PTU, or the PU rather. I'm thinking public test servers so much right now. You need to be able to make money easily, not in the thing like, oh well, I did one mission and here's $2 million kind of sense, because you have to make it your time and effort. So one of the things for like very basic missions, and obviously this is just a scenario I'm throwing out, obviously it can be something different. If you make it so the average starting mission is enough to buy like a used Aurora or Mustang, so whatever that price is going to be in the end, you can make it people who come into the game either already have those ships or need to earn them if they don't have a pilot's license or something, which we've talked about before, that they need to be able to get into a ship relatively easy, because we're talking about a culture and a universe that space travel is like driving a car. Almost anyone can just go down and get a car. You can get a used car for really cheap. You can buy a brand new car with financing. And you should be able to get these things without hours and hours and hours and hours of work. And obviously this doesn't apply to like, Aurora, not Auroras. This doesn't apply to like a Hammerhead or a Freelancer. Obviously those are larger ships. They're more specialized. They have production worked into them. You can't just go down to the street and buy a tank. You can buy tanks, but usually you have to know people or have a lot of money to buy those things. You don't just go down and pick them up. Oh yeah, honey, I'm going to go down to the tank store and buy me a tank. So one of the things you can do to make missions easier is you can have friends with you. So if you have someone who already owns the game, but let's say they have just a basic package or something. So they have a ship, they can have a couple people in it. Let's say he hires 2 people. So he has one person who's like a medic who can heal them so they don't die and lose all their gear, and then one guy who's like got an assault rifle or some larger caliber weapon, and they go and do a mission. Let's say it takes them 20 minutes or half an hour or something, depends on how good they are. Well, they're making the mission about 3 times easier because there's 2 extra people. But if the person who's doing the mission, the pilot, the guy who owns the ship, is going to be fair, they'll split it 3 ways. So while the mission was 3 times easier, it was also 3 times less profitable. Everyone gets 1/3 of the share.
So basically what you're saying is that, yeah, you can do it a lot faster and you can do it more efficiently, but you're actually with the loss of profit because you're splitting it more and more ways. You have to kind of measure time versus, risk versus reward and time and how much you have to split. And in the end, I mean, it may not be worth doing the mission if you have to bring too many people, or if you do bring too many people just on a whim. You have to kind of balance it out. Either way, they talked about how a fully upgraded ship will cost about 3 times as much as the base variant that you're going to be getting in the game. So like that $21 million Hammerhead would be, obviously like $63 million to fully upgrade it. That's a huge investment inside of the game. Now, I don't look at Star Citizen kind of the way that Elite Dangerous does. Elite Dangerous is, how should I put this? You don't, since you're basically the ship. You have a little avatar character, but you can't get out. You can't walk around. There's no planets to explore on foot. Everything's done inside of a vehicle, or what the vehicle can do, and it's a lot more limited in that regards. The whole goal of Elite Dangerous basically is your ships and your equipment that's on those ships. In Star Citizen, that's not such the case. I mean, you could really just play the game with one ship. You could say, you know what? I want a 350R, and that's all I want. And you could play forever with that. Just have a fully upgraded and, modified and tuned up 350R and be really good with it, and be completely happy doing little cargo runs and joining your friends for larger scale ship adventures. Like, hey, I'll jump inside, your Idris, and I'll help you out there, or whatever. So Star Citizen isn't limited to the concept of bigger, badder, better ship constantly. You really can find what you want to do out of it with just owning that one ship and that one ship alone. Ships in Star Citizen are more about roles, what they can do, what they bring to the table, what they're for, as opposed to an avatar. So in some regards, I can understand this exclusivity as far as the prices go, because, well, things are expensive in the real world too. If you wanted to buy an aircraft carrier in the real world, I'm pretty sure that you couldn't do it working at your local 7-Eleven.
I guess one thing to point out, as opposed to the real world, is in Star Citizen, you're kind of more of a mercenary or a contractor. Contractors tend to make more money, though they have other things they have to deal with. In Star Citizen, obviously, be death, as opposed to taxes in the real world.
You may have both.
That's a very real possibility. I mean, if you're working up to the point where you're just doing cargo, you're getting a bigger ship, you're making more money, or you're just doing mining, then there's a small mining ship, unless you back it, you'll have to work up to get into, like working on a mining ship like an Orion or even Prospector, working with whatever one ship, and you'd work yourself up to the point where, okay, now I don't need any help, or maybe the only help I need is like an escort ship to make sure, like, oh, this is a dangerous area, I'm going to hire a couple fighters to escort me or something.
Now, they did talk about the ship rental system. Now, I hope they take it one step farther and they have a loan system where you can get a bank note or a bank loan, and once you have enough base default capital that they can, you can basically put against it. So if you have saved up money, you've been using the Prospector, and you've built up a significant cash, and you have a good reputation, that you can go ahead and take out a loan. Basically, the bank takes a percentage of your profits consistently until the ship is paid off, of course at a slight increase in cost. So I would like to see them do something like a loan system, because not many of us are going to go out there and buy like a new car or a house in cash. I mean, we have mortgages and things like that. So since they want to have these kind of real world economies, if you want to buy that $21 million Hammerhead, and you know that it's something that you're going to be able to use as an escort for cargo and shipping fleets, and you've already know the people who need that kind of defense, and you'll have consistent and steady work, then that might be something that's worth exploring. I think it needs to go a bit further than just ship rentals. It needs to go into the idea of loans. Also, I'd like to see them get a stock market in the game down the road. I think they are going to be developing that. But for those people who are keen or very good with those kind of things, that's a very good way to make a massive amount of money to get whatever you want by playing that risky endeavor. I don't know if it's something that I'd want to do. I've never really dabbled in it, but I might, since I have pretty much all the ships I want anyway. So the bottom line is, what are your thoughts on the economy? What did you think about the prices of the ships that you saw in the presentation? Does it concern you? Are you worried about the cost of upgrades? Are you worried about the rate of money coming in from missions and the recurrent rewards? And if you'd like to see them scaled up, by how much? It's one of those things that I remember them talking about. They made a board game a while ago with the economy, trying to simulate it. A board game, by the way, which I would actually love them to sell sometime, if they flesh it out as an actual like Star Citizen, the board game, because that'd be kind of fun. There's a lot of variables and factors that I think they're not going to be aware of, or they're not going to be able to adjust for until the game gets to a much closer to live release. Obviously, Squadron 42, the economy isn't really going to be an issue. You're not dealing with that. You're a soldier. Everything's going to be given out to your requisitions and whatnot. You're not going to have to deal with money. So the persistent universe is going to be a lot more complex in that area. I think the best thing we can do is just give them feedback on it. And, there's going to be a lot of guys out there going to crunch the numbers. They're going to say, hey, I made this much money in this much time. This is what it cost me. And I actually ended up losing money every time I do a mission or something. They're going to point that out. So I think that the economy could be just as delicate a balance as a flight model because of all the factors that go into it. So on that note, later on this week, we are going to be taking a little bit of a break from ARM. I'm going to be trying to split ARM out to every other week. I'm going to be doing a one-off called Fight and Rage with Lightning Dragon watching me get my ass kicked. Before that point in time, I'm going to be starting a short 3-video series of Landinar Into the Void. It was a request from a subscriber. Kind of do 2 videos of initial impressions and kind of a follow-through after I played it a lot more, giving you my, well, I can't say final thoughts. It's in development, but the thoughts as the way the game stands currently. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for watching this week's BlastCast. If you caught a little bit of digitization on Lightning's side, it's because he's having internet connection today, and we do apologize. But hey, the internet is what the internet is.
I blame TeamSpeak.
I do. I blame everything but you. Can't ever blame you. Don't blame Lightning. All right, guys. Well, we will catch you on the next one.
What? Oh, bye-bye.